The Jewish population has throughout history been questionably the most persecuted group of people ever. Yet, as we can learn from the past, observe from the present, and most likely find out in the future, they have always been able to stand back up, to use the power within them to enforce their strength and, in many cases, their survival. A motif which intervened throughout this case study on the Jewish culture in the books Night and Sunflower, and also the movie musical Fiddler on the Roof, is the struggle for power between the Jews and the Nazis. It is an uneven fight because the Nazis are backed up by their guns, while the Jews, weaponless, have little chance to resist. But their power lies elsewhere, and it is fundamentally a very strong force, much harder to be taken away from them since it isn't external and doesn't lie in their guns or knives. It lies deeply within them, and as a part of themselves, one doesn't just face an individual but society, which is very powerful when together. The force of ideology and common interest in their faith, their emunah, their God, the ultimate defense and offense, a weapon of sorts, their religion, a bond so strong, I myself felt it whilst in Terezin. I'm not a Jew, neither are any of my forebears, yet this bond's strength transcends over this cultural barrier. Their ideology is what helped them stick together and gave them the notion of hope, so necessary when living in the conditions of the concentration camps. As it stands in the Torah itself, a little bit of light dispels a lot of darkness. This is nicely illustrated in the book Night, page 53, when a French girl has an abrupt conversation with Ellie and advises him to bite his teeth. Bite your teeth, little brother. Keep your anger for another day, for later. The day will come, but not now. Wait. Notice that she calls him a brother. Metaphorically, this could mean a brother in arms, which is ironic since they do not have any weapons, linking back to that power within faith and its ability to become a weapon. Yet they have never met before, nor do they come from the same country or even speak the same mother tongue. All that connects them together is their faith, their emunah. Emunah, as it stands in the Old Testament, also referred to as the good book in the film Fiddler on the Roof by the protagonist Reb Tevye, represents more than just the simple essence of faith. For one can resort to faith because their incapability to reason for themselves leads them to rely on others. On the other hand, emunah is the faith that one's truth is the part and parcel of their own essence of being. To deny it would mean to deny their quintessence of their living. Having emunah is a skill which one needs to study to obtain, for example, through the study of Kabbalah. This builds a bridge back to Night, where we see Eli study Kabbalah under the guidance of his mentor, Moshe the Beadle, at the very beginning of the novel. When Moshe explains his perception of becoming a capable Kabbalist, he states, "There are 1,001 ways allowing the entry to the mystical garden of truth. Every human being has their own gate, and one must enter only through their gate, for otherwise it may pose a danger to himself and the people who are inside already." This is where the metaphorical scales of power start tilting the other direction. Since the Nazis are driven by ideologies presented to them by others and are forcibly entering this garden through other people's gates, their determination to win over a world, guided by that truth that they themselves oftentimes don't fully believe, is a weakness they have. This is clearly illustrated in the novel Sunflower, where the dying Nazi soldier admits his disgust over the actions that he's committed under the orders of the other men, in this case his officers. He denies an idea which he for years presented as his truth, thus denying himself in the eyes of the emunah. So does that mean that the Jews were more powerful than the Nazis? Was Eleazar more powerful than his Nazi captors? In my opinion, he was. His belief in himself and his ability to speak to God within himself and ask the real question, as Moish said, made him internally much stronger than the man deceived by the propaganda and determined to make other people's dreams come true. When Simon Wiesenthal sat by the bed of the Nazi soldier, speechless, it was his decision, his emunah, which forbade him from talking. And when Tevye decided that there is no other hand and rejected his own daughter, he again believed firmly in his truth and knew that if he bends this much, he will break. So much more powerful than when the war criminals in Nuremberg asked for forgiveness, since they were only following orders, proving their incapabilities and the dangerous reliance on others, denying their own existence in the process.